Welcome inside a new season of Black and Gold. Today, I'm Andrew Clay, sitting here right next to Ryan Risky, Riley Holsinger. He's going to join us in just a moment. Ryan, so much like the Pittsburgh Steelers, we have our own new look team.
Yeah, Omar Khan had himself quite the offseason, didn't he? It was one of the most transformative offseasons that we've seen during the Mike Tomlin era. 7 of the Steelers' projected starters this season were not even on the roster last fall.
Yeah, there certainly have been a lot of change on the South Side. Riley Holsinger, our third member of our team. Riley, this roster reconstruction from Omar Khan has so many moving pieces. Take us through it.
Absolutely. Well, Khan and company haven't seen a playoff win since 2017. The Pittsburgh Steelers know that they can't be complacent doing the same things year after year, Andrew. And last year, kind of that breaking point, that wake-up call, was after the team got bullied in the playoffs by its biggest rival in the Baltimore Ravens.
Obviously, coming off of last year, which was disappointing the way it ended, we had a plan, an idea of what we want. We had a vision of what we wanted this team to look like. And, to tell you there that we laid out a plan and everything happened 100%, that wouldn't be honest of me to say that. But we think it came together pretty nicely.
Pittsburgh made plenty of changes, and it started with adding big-name talent. The Steelers replaced Justin Fields and Russell Wilson with future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers. They also gave the 4-time MVP some big-time weapons in DK Metcalf and Jonnu Smith. But the defense got the biggest remodel. On top of acquiring Smith from Miami, the Steelers also got Jalen Ramsey in exchange for Minkah Fitzpatrick, adding one of the game's elite corners to a room with new offseason pickups and former All-Pro Darius Slay and Brandon Echols.
We're always going to keep an eye open. If a player becomes available, talked about it last year, we always do our due diligence. That's our job. Any player that becomes available, any position in the league, that's on us. We have to know the player and, if it's the right player, right price, and we look at it.
The rebuilt defense is placing high expectations on themselves to not just be one of the top-ranked units this year, but ever.
I know the ceiling's pretty high. Like we got guys everywhere, so I think we can be, like I said before, I'm doubling down on it. We can be one of the best defenses.
With an all-in offseason, the goal isn't just to have a winning record and make the playoffs, but go all of the way.
We have adapted. We have altered our approach, and we will continue because we're not getting what we seek, and that's the confetti game, is to be world champs.
O'Reilly, what a change a season makes. But Pittsburgh also brought in some rookies, including some high-profile rookies this year in the draft class. Derek Harmon, the first-round pick. He was supposed to start this year, but he's going to begin the season a little banged up. What's his status moving forward?
Yeah, Andrew, he's going to be week to week with an MCL sprain. It is a good sign, though, that he wasn't put on injured reserve before the season began. So it might not take 4 weeks for him to recover. He might be back in week 1, might be back in week 2. We'll have yet to see that.
Not sure what rookies, you never know what rookies are going to step up, but Caleb Johnson appears to be one of those guys. His role with Jaylen Warren, how is that balance going to kind of work out?
Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit similar to what we saw in the past with Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, where it's going to get to a point in the season where they'll both probably split reps. Warren's more of your blocking back, but I think both of them will split carries at some point. Johnson, he has a lot of growing up to do. He looked great as a rookie during camp. Preseason, you know what? He could have improved some, but he's going to grow throughout the season.
Yeah, he looked incredibly impressive there throughout camp. One last quick question. Y.A. Black, impressive this preseason.
Absolutely, especially in that game against Carolina with back-to-back sacks and the strip sack.
Well, this Steelers rebuild is built 100% around Aaron Rodgers. No roster move drew more attention than Rodgers signing with the team. Is he a real upgrade, though, Ryan? Let's look at these stats. They're pretty comparable to last year.
On paper, Rodgers would be a significant upgrade, except, these numbers, they don't lie, and there's a lot of questions. Rodgers is going to be the oldest starting quarterback in the NFL at 41 years old, and he's coming off, quite the tenure in New York that did not go very well.
Now, the question right now, though, is always going to be, can Rodgers stay upright? Can he stay healthy? That comes down to the offensive line. But you have to think, Rodgers is a former MVP. The experience is there.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, there are some young players and not necessarily new faces on the line. Except
lots of young players. You're
Roderick
right.
Jones is moving from right tackle to left tackle this year. That's a significant change.
So let's move forward. Look at this schedule. And Rodgers has a lot of this schedule. I know the NFL said they didn't know Rodgers was going to be a Steeler, but the schedule feels tailor-made. He's going to play the Jets in week 1. That's a team he, of course, played for. It's his return to MetLife Stadium where he spent the last 2 seasons, as you mentioned. He'll play in Europe. He's actually only lost in Europe when he's played there. He lost to Daniel Jones back in 2022. And then he'll face the franchise that drafted him, Green Bay, in week 8. All of that, brace yourself, before they go on to play the Bears, where Ryan, does he win against the Bears?
He does, and the last time he was at Soldier Field, after scoring the touchdown that put the game out of reach, he went and pointed at the owner's suite and said, "I still own you."
Oh, Aaron Rodgers and the Bears. What a story that continues to be.